Stable. 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 So, the word stable can refer to two different things depending on the context. As a noun, it typically means a building where horses are kept, especially in a farm or stable yard. For example, the horse was taken out of its stall in the stable. In this sense, part of speech is a noun and common usage is mostly in rural areas or related to horse care. However, as an adjective, stable means not likely to change or be affected by something. Firm or secure. For instance, the company has a stable financial situation. Here, the part of speech is an adjective, and it's commonly used in everyday conversation to describe situations or conditions that are reliable or unlikely to shift. Just remember that when describing people or things, like horses, stable usually functions as a noun. But when talking about abstract concepts, emotions, or situations, it acts as an adjective. I'd be happy to help you with some practical example sentences using the word stable. So, let's say we're at a horse riding competition and someone asks us about the quality of the horses participating. In a formal tone, I might say, the stable conditions at this competition are top-notch, ensuring the well-being of these magnificent creatures throughout their stay. This usage highlights the formal aspect of describing something as stable, implying a sense of reliability and consistency. On the other hand, if we're chatting with friends at a coffee shop and one of them mentions they've been feeling unwell lately, I might respond with, "I'm glad you're taking it easy today. That stable routine will do you some good. Maybe try to get more sleep tonight." Here, the casual tone emphasizes the idea of maintaining a steady or predictable schedule as a way to recover from an illness. Finally, if we were in a meeting discussing market trends and someone mentions a particular investment strategy, I might say, "Our research suggests that investing in stable dividend-paying stocks can provide a relatively safe and reliable return on investment. It's not the most exciting option, but it's certainly a solid choice." This usage is more formal and technical, highlighting the business or academic context where stability is prized as a desirable quality. So you're trying to learn about something that means being solid and secure, like a rock that won't move even when things get rough around you. Main characteristics of this concept are being calm and steady, like a boat on a quiet lake. It's also about being able to withstand challenges or difficulties without getting too shaken up or falling apart. Think of it like an unbreakable jar that keeps its contents safe inside, no matter what's happening outside. This concept is similar to others like calm, serene, and unfazed, which all describe a sense of peace and composure in the face of uncertainty. When someone or something has this quality, they're able to keep going even when things get tough. And that's really useful for navigating life's ups and downs. Style. 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 Let's talk about the word style. As a language teacher, I'd like to break it down for you. The part of speech is noun, but it can also function as an adjective when describing something that has a particular quality or manner. In common usage, style typically refers to the way in which someone or something presents themselves or their work. Think fashion, art, music, or even writing. For example, "She has a classic style" means her fashion sense is traditional and timeless. As for special notes, it's worth mentioning that when used as an adjective, style can sometimes sound a bit old-fashioned, so you might hear people using the phrase "in style" instead, meaning something that is currently popular or fashionable. This new restaurant is really in style right now. Just remember to use it thoughtfully and with context. In a formal setting such as a job interview, you might say, I believe my personal style in approaching challenges is a unique combination of creativity and attention to detail, which has been highly effective in my previous roles. This sentence showcases your professional style and how it contributes to your work. In a casual conversation with friends, you might say, I'm totally obsessing over that new fashion brand right now, their style is so on point. Here, the word style refers to the aesthetic or taste of something. In this case, a fashion brand's clothing and design. In a business context, such as a marketing meeting, you might say, we need to update our branding to reflect a more modern style that appeals to our target audience. This sentence highlights the importance of adapting one's style to meet the needs and preferences of the desired customer base. So, you know how people often express themselves in unique ways that show who they are and what they're about? That's kind of what we mean by this concept. It's the way someone presents themselves, like their mannerisms, speech, clothes, and overall vibe. When someone has a strong sense of this, others can tell right away what they're interested in, how they feel about things, and even what values are important to them. It's not just about looking good or dressing fancy, but more about being true to yourself and expressing that through the way you live your life. People often use similar words like flair or attitude to describe it. And it's also connected to ideas like personality or character. Having this helps people connect with others who share similar interests and values. And it can even be a strength in personal and professional relationships. Substitute. 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 So, let's talk about the word substitute. The part of speech is a verb, which means it's an action or a state that something or someone is doing. In common usage, substitute usually means to replace one thing with another. Like if you can't be at school because you're sick, your friend might substitute for you in class. It can also mean to take the place of someone who isn't available, such as a backup player on a sports team. Another way substitute is used is when people talk about substitutes or alternatives, like coffee being a substitute for energy, or a special diet that's meant to be a healthy substitute for unhealthy eating habits. One thing to note is that in some cases, substitute can have a slightly different meaning than the word replace. So it's worth paying attention to how it's used in context. Sometimes it implies that something is being used as an equivalent or an improvement, rather than just a simple swap. In a meeting with a colleague who is out sick, you might say, we'll have to substitute John for Mike on this project. Here, the word substitute means to replace someone in their official capacity. This is an example of formal usage, where the context is a professional or academic setting where a specific individual's absence requires another person to take their place. On the other hand, if you were hanging out with friends at a sporting event and one of them wasn't feeling well, you might joke, hey, can someone substitute your chips with mine? In this case, substitute means to give or receive something in exchange for it. Often used in casual conversations where the context is social and informal. In an academic paper on environmental science, you might write, in a study of water pollution, researchers found that using genetically modified plants as substitutes for native species can help mitigate the ecological impact. Here, substitute means something that takes the place of another thing in terms of function or effect. Used in formal writing to convey technical information. So when we talk about something that is used in place of another thing, especially when that other thing can't be available or is too difficult to get, it's called a, you know what I'm getting at. Essentially, this concept is an alternative to something else, like a backup plan. It's similar to the idea of a replacement or a stand-in. And people often use words like stand for or represent to describe it. When we use it in everyday life, we're essentially using something else that can do the same job as what we originally needed. So if someone says, I'll just use my sister's car instead, you know what I mean.